Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Insights. On this channel, we discuss everything to do with the Ascension process. We talk about the different energies that are at play at any given time so that we can best navigate those energies together. So welcome aboard, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Libra, which is happening on April 7th or April 8th, depending on where you are in the world. I was guided for this reading to look at the charts for both April 7th and April 8th and discuss sort of how the energies flow into one another. Typically, when we're looking one day apart, there's not a whole lot that's all that different about the energy. The planets don't move all that quickly. So the energy tends to, kind of slowly change and morph and grow over time. However, the energies that I was picking up for the 7th and the 8th were quite different in a lot of pretty dramatic ways. And so I think that's why I was guided to talk about the full moon this way, just to give sort of both sides of the coin, the flowing perspective as we move throughout the energies of this moon, because I think that the way that we sort of flow and change with these energies is going to have a really big impact on how we experience the energy of this moon. And so to start out, we want to look at what's going on April 7th. So we have, anytime that we have a full moon, we have an opposition of the sun and the moon. And so the moon is starting out in Libra, and it's opposing the sun in Aries. And so what we have here is this sort of tug of war between the conscious and the subconscious. The sun is our conscious selves, our ego selves, how we define and identify ourselves in the world. And the moon is our habitual instinctive nature. It's our more subconscious, our emotional, our intuitive nature. And so we have these two different natures in these two opposing signs. And so what is the sign of Libra? The sign of Libra is represented by the scales. Libra is about balance. It's about fairness. I apologize for the sirens outside. I do live in a little, I guess you would call it a city, big town city, whatever. So there are sounds, but we do the best we can and we just keep moving forward. So we have, Libra, which is all about that balance. It's all about the fairness. It's all about seeing both sides of a situation and finding that seeing the black and the white and finding that gray area in the middle. It's about compromise. It's about relationships. Libra is ruled by Venus, which is the planet of partnership, among other things. And so we're definitely going to be looking at, I think, our relationships during this moon and how they support our sense of self, our growing and evolving sense of self. So throughout 2020, and even 2019, really, we've been growing a lot. Our idea and our understanding of ourselves has constantly been morphing and changing. With the 444 portal, we received this major initiation and activation. We have Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn all doing their thing. I affectionately nicknamed Jupiter and Pluto Juno by accident during a video the other day, and I'm kind of digging that. I'm kind of liking that, or judo, so we have them doing their thing, and they're really they're causing us to really look at our faith, look at our ideals, look at our belief systems, what resonates, what doesn't resonate, what do we have faith in, where does our faith in ourselves, where are we at with that? What are what are our boundaries? What are our perceived limitations, and are we ready to move beyond those? And what does that look like? And so all of this is happening, and it's affecting and changing the way we see ourselves. And so we have this ever evolving image of ourselves, an idea of ourselves and what we want, and where we want to go in our lives, what we believe in. And so the Aries energy is that initiating energy. It's that first sign of the zodiac. It's interesting. We had the new moon in Aries, actually. And so that's the energy that we're coming off of as far as, from the new moon into the full moon. And so we're very much still feeling that energy. We want to initiate. We want to take charge. We want to, Aries is all about the development of the self and the fulfillment of the desires and the needs of the self. Aries is ruled by Mars. It's that very, I almost said aggressive, but that really fierce, fiery energy, right? Aries is a fire sign. And so we're having this balance, and we see it also in, we have the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn. And so this interplay between like our sense of self and our relationships, and finding that common ground, and finding out how we can maintain our autonomy and our sense of self and this new identity, and live this new identity but still be in harmony with the people in our lives and the relationships in our lives. I'm being reminded of something that we discuss on this channel quite a bit, which is the fact that when we go through a spiritual awakening and our vibration starts rising, people who are not of the same vibration as us naturally start falling away and falling out of our lives. And this can be a very painful process for some people. So there may be areas for some people where we're trying to hold on to people that no longer serve us, and figuring out a way to find harmony and compromise and balance in a way that doesn't compromise ourselves too much. That's something we have to look out for with Libra energy, is over-compromising to the detriment of oneself. And, Libra really doesn't want to rock the boat. It wants that harmony, and we're really looking for that harmony in our relationships right now. But how does that line up with who we are and where we're trying to go? And so that's the main question, I think, of this moon, is just that. And sort of like, we want to look also at, so Libra is ruled by Venus. So we want to look at what's going on with Venus right now. And so Venus is in the sign of Gemini. Venus in Gemini really wants to communicate. It wants to get out there. It wants to network. It wants to meet new people and to have these novel experiences and experience all of these different perspectives, and then learn from people, and then share its own knowledge. It's very much, we're in this very cerebral energy right now. We have a lot of sextiles going on, which is a lot of mental energy. We've got a lot of planets in air signs. And so, we're going to really want to communicate, and we're focused so much on our relationships right now with people that we're going to want to talk about that. And so what I would advise people to do is just be careful what it is that you're agreeing to during this time. We are going to see, as we get into the 8th, how the energies are starting to change, and the way we feel today may not be the way we feel tomorrow. So it's definitely about like having those real, raw, honest, open conversations, even though that Libra energy makes us want to hold back a little bit to keep the peace, like really getting open and honest so that we know where everybody is at, because that's the only place that we can really move forward from. If we're hiding the way we feel, or we're just trying to smooth things over so that we don't rock the boat, like eventually that's going to come back to bite us in the ass. And if you do that right now, that's exactly what's going to happen. So that's the best advice that I can give for this full moon, is don't write checks that your ass can't cash. Just don't do it. Definitely take this opportunity to, it's think before you speak. Think before you make promises, think before you speak. We have Mercury right now in the sign of Pisces. Mercury is direct, which is great. It's coming out of a conjunction with Neptune, but the two are far enough apart now that we're not necessarily in that state of sort of illusion and confusion that we can experience with Neptune sometimes. But we are still very mentally connected with our intuition. Pisces is a very intuitive sign. We had the whole Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So if you go back and watch some of those videos, you can see the way that we were learning how to balance the logic with the intuition. And so hopefully we've learned how to do that to a certain extent, and we are able to tap into that intuition when we talk to people. And I think that that's going to be really important, is just taking that second to really think about what it is that we're saying, and really think about any promises that we're getting ready to make or anything like that. And hold back from saying the things that don't need to be said just yet, as far as that goes. But do say the things that are important to say, so that everyone fully understands and is on the same page. Because that's going to be really, really important moving forward. Okay, anything else on that? No, I think that's it. Just really, we're going to be wanting to talk a lot, but we're also going to have a lot going on in our own heads. And so, yeah, just taking the time to sort through that. Maybe write some stuff down. If there's an important conversation that has to be had, maybe get some stuff on paper so that we really understand where we're coming from. Because, yeah, all of that is going to be, like, if there are places where we're not sure how we feel, we're going to know by the evening of the 8th. Because that is when the moon moves from Libra into Scorpio. And so Scorpio is a very intense, very passionate energy. Scorpio may feel 100 different things at once, but Scorpio definitely knows how it feels. And Scorpio is not interested in this shallow surface kind of stuff. Scorpio wants connection as well, but it wants deep, intimate, real, raw connection. It wants to get right down to the bare bones of everything. And so that's the energy emotionally that we're headed into. And so this brings up a really important point, which is just the fact that it's imperative not to make decisions or agreements based solely on how we're feeling at a certain time, because our emotions are very fluid. They're constantly morphing and changing. We look at it with the cycles of the moon, right, which represents the emotions. We move into a different moon sign every 3 days. Feelings are very transitory. Our feelings are a really important guidepost that can teach us and show us things and show us what we really want and show us what's okay and what resonates and what doesn't. But we need to look at our feelings over a broader scope of time. Not just how am I feeling in this moment, but how do I most consistently feel when it comes to this person or this situation? And that's where we really can use the feelings as a barometer, but it's when we step back and get that bigger picture. Instead of like, I'm feeling pretty good about this right now, and like at the moment, this isn't the greatest thing, but I think I can live with this. Like that's not, when the moon moves into Scorpio, that's going to get washed away completely. So definitely something important to take note of. And so that brings us into flowing into the 8th, right? So we all have all of that energy going on. And then we move into April 8th. And so we're going to be looking right now and talking about the planets and just visualizing as the energy's changing and what that's changing into. And so the configurations or aspects that I'm about to go over with you guys are not exact. They're loose aspects, but I feel as though the energy of them is going to be very prominent and very important, and that's why we're discussing them in this video. So we have the sun, which is going to be moving into a loose square with Jupiter and Pluto. And so, with Judo. And so, as this happens, we have, it's sort of, I look at this energy as like an ego death kind of energy. If the sun represents the ego and the consciousness and our idea of ourselves, then we have this Pluto and Jupiter energy, which is challenging all of that. It's challenging our beliefs, and it's challenging us to look at our beliefs and our ideals and our faith. And sort of as all of that is being stripped away and we're coming into this new understanding of ourselves, we're having to reconcile that with our old understanding of ourselves. And so this can be an energy that we really experience and start sinking into on the 8th, where we start trying to figure out like where, like, what aspects am I still holding on to that aren't resonating with me? And this is something that we're not going to be able to avoid looking at, especially with that moon in Scorpio. And so we're going to be seeing these things, and we may be struggling to let go of some of those old concepts and beliefs about ourselves, and sort of really embracing and moving into that new energy. It's like anytime we develop a new belief system, right? It's like we've talked about this in past videos too, the idea of like a dual belief system and how crippling that can be as far as manifesting and different stuff like that goes, right? How it's kind of like we're straddling two worlds, and we have like, we're in the middle of a doorway with one foot in each room. And so that's when we're developing new belief systems. That's a process that we go through where we have our new belief, but we still have our old belief, and we haven't completely grown out of that and released our attachment or identification with that. And so this process of releasing that attachment and that identification with those old belief systems as we fully step into our new beliefs and ideals, and hence our new version and idea of ourselves. And so where really Pluto and Jupiter are calling us to conduct ourselves with integrity and to honor this new self that's emerging, and the needs and the wants and the desires of that new self. So yeah, that's the energy that we've got with the sun. And then we've got the moon. So the moon is going to be moving into an opposition with Uranus. So we're going to be looking at this from the viewpoint of the moon in Scorpio. So the moon is in opposition to the moon in Scorpio in opposition to Uranus and Taurus. And so we talked a little bit about Scorpio and what it wants. And when we're talking about this from an emotional nature, we're talking about like the deep fulfillment of desires is what the Scorpio moon wants. Scorpio moon wants to be able to fully express and sink into its desires and really have its emotional self heard and held and respected and honored, and it wants to share that and experience that with another human being. And we have Uranus and Taurus. So what is Uranus? Uranus is the planet that represents, to me, it represents rebellion and it represents freedom. So Uranus wants to be free. Uranus wants the freedom to determine its own course of action, Uranus demands the right to chart its own course through life, and it does not respect any rules or any laws other than the laws that it deems to be just and worthy. And so Uranus and Taurus, where is Uranus looking for this freedom? Uranus is looking for this freedom when it comes to the things that Taurus represents. Taurus energy is very steadfast, it's very stable, it's very secure. Some people would consider it unyielding. And so we have, and Taurus also represents, is ruled by Venus, right? So it's the most physical of all the signs. It represents, it's that sensual, it's that all of the earthly pleasures, right? So Uranus wants the freedom to indulge and experience those earthly pleasures however it sees fit. Uranus wants the freedom of financial stability and security. It wants to find that in whatever means resonate most strongly with it. It doesn't want those to be determined by any outside forces. Uranus wants freedom to experience abundance. Venus also, rules creativity and pleasure. So Uranus in Taurus also wants freedom to create the way that it wants to create. It wants freedom to express itself. And it wants to do all this, feeling very secure and very stable, which is interesting because Uranus is the least stable of all the planets. It is, the planet that it's very erratic. It can be very chaotic. But in Taurus, it is looking for a little bit of that security and stability. And so, these are the intense desires and the energies that we're feeling when these planets connect. And so what they're actually going to be doing is making a loose T-square with Mars and Saturn. And so what a T-square is a T-square is when we have two opposing planets. And then right in the middle, we have another planet that's making a 90-degree angle, what we would call a square, to each of the oppositional planets. And in this case, it gets pretty interesting because we have actually two planets in that center position. So we have Mars and we have Saturn. And so this is a very tense aspect, but it's a very motivational aspect because we become so uncomfortable that we're forced to act and we're forced to move. We can't stay still and we can't stay stagnant when we're in the middle of this kind of an energy. And so the way that we resolve any conflict and any tension is by utilizing the aspects of the planets at the apex or in that center of that T-square. And so we're looking to utilize the aspects of Mars and Saturn. And so Mars and Saturn, if I think about Mars and Saturn together, what I think about is the creation of the game plan, right? Like how this is what I want, right? That's Mars. That's, that's that energy of this is my goal, this is my ambition, this is what I want, this is what drives me. And then Saturn is, and this is how I'm going to get there. This is why Mars in Capricorn but this is why Mars is exalted in Capricorn, because that kind of energy, that Saturnian energy, really helps to stabilize Mars and give it that stamina and that focus and that vision, that strategic vision to move forward in its most effective way. And so Mars is actually in Aquarius right now, but because of its connection with Saturn, I view this as a similar energy to the Mars and Capricorn energy. But we also have the added sort of flavor of them being in the sign of Aquarius, which is pretty cool because Aquarius is that, actually, interestingly enough, it's that Uranian energy, right? It's that inventive sort of energy. So it's, Mars is able to Mars and Saturn are able to see lots of different options for moving forward. And if they tap into that potential and work synergistically together, they can create a really great game plan for moving forward. And what are we trying to move forward on? We're trying to move forward on being able to express ourselves and connect and really be who we want to be in the world. We want the fulfillment of our deepest, most primal desires. And so we can build a game plan and find a way to move forward in that if we're willing to be honest with ourselves about what it is that we really want. What is it that really drives us? And I think that that's really the question that we're being asked through this whole moon is like, what is it that now that I'm in this new version of myself, what is it that I want and how do I want to move forward with that? And how do I reconcile that with the existing structures in my life, with the existing relationships and people in my life? And how do I move forward in a way that's harmonious and honors myself, but doesn't discount them? And so it's really important. And there, we want to, and we need to be able to find that common ground, because if there are, situations and, relationships with people that we need to continue to have in our lives that maybe aren't necessarily supporting our greater vision for our lives right now in the way that they currently exist. Like, we need to be able to find a way we can't just scrap all that and move on. We have to find a way to come into harmony and come into balance and just kind of reinvent it, if you will. And so that is like a big energy that we're feeling and we're experiencing right now. And shit, I had something that came to me when I was saying that, and now it's totally gone. So I guess maybe I wasn't supposed to get into whatever it was that I was thinking about. If I am, it'll come back up. If I'm not, then it won't. Oh, okay, there it is. I guess I was meant to. So it's also about, we're coming into this understanding of our soul mission. And so I think for a lot of us, this has to do with that too. It's like we're seeing what's really important as far as like what we came here to do. Our soul mission has been activated. And so this is something that can't be compromised. Our soul mission is what we were put here on earth to do, right? And we have lots of different missions at different times. Our mission changes and grows and evolves as we change and grow and evolve. So we've reached another stage of our evolution. We know the things, we're starting to understand like the path that we're going down and what we need to do. And we're trying to figure out like what resonates with that and what doesn't. And if there is a way to create resonance somewhere where there's not harmony right now. And is if there is a way, like we're looking for the win-win situation. That's what we're looking for right now. And it's always there. The solution is there. It's just using that Aquarian energy to think outside the box. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much that. We're going to pull some cards right now and see what else Spirit has to say. We're going to go first with the Moonology deck. I absolutely, absolutely love this deck. All right, Spirits, give us any messages for this full moon in Libra, April 7th to 8th. Any messages? Okay. Any more messages? Anything you want people to know? That's too many cards, Spirit. Very clear cards. I don't want any confusion here. I want it to be very clear what's popping out. Okay. Any more messages? Okay, we'll take it. How we get this last one all the time. Time to release negativity. Okay, so the first is a time for healing. And so, yeah, I mean, it is. This is absolutely a time for healing. It's a time, we're constantly in these cycles of healing, right? And so we have a lot of stuff coming up right now. We went through this intensive purging process before we received this activation, and now we're integrating. And also, we have the people who were just activated who maybe, going through different versions of the dark night of the soul, which is that first part of the spiritual awakening process. And we go back into that as we go through these deeper cycles of healing, right? So it's allowing yourself that time for healing. If you need, we always need that time. And just understanding that there are so many things are being healed, and we may not even consciously be aware of everything that's being healed right now, is sort of the message that I'm being given and what I'm feeling. So it's just trusting that that's happening and allowing that to happen, allowing ourselves to feel when things come up, allowing them to be what they are, I mean, really, yeah, I mean, this moon starts out in Libra, right? And so Libra's not a deep feeling energy. Libra is an air sign. The air signs are much more cerebral. They're not really so much centered in the feeling. And so we may feel a little disconnected from that deep emotional part and until the moon moves into Scorpio. And then once the moon moves into Scorpio, that's all about feeling, and so things may come up that we didn't even realize. I mean, Scorpio deals with the unconscious, right? Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And so during the first part of this full moon, we're really focused on other people. We're really focused on creating harmony and, all of that. So we may ignore our own needs and our own needs, our own needs to a certain point. But then those are going to come up, and all of the unconscious stuff that we haven't considered yet is going to be revealed as the moon shifts into Scorpio. And so it's just allowing those emotions to come up and allowing whatever's coming up to come up, and just allowing ourselves that process for healing. And there is no timeline for healing. It happens in all different cycles. For some reason right now, grief is coming up. I'm feeling the energy of grief. So there may be some of you out there who are grieving as well. Maybe you've lost somebody close to you. It may not even be, it could be related to the pandemic we're having right now. It could be something that someone that you've lost earlier, not related to this. It could be a deeper cycle of healing around that you're going through. And so that, just like anything else, grief, healing, it's all a process, and it comes in waves, right? We don't experience all of it at once and then we're done. We experience a wave of it, and if we allow ourselves to sink into that and feel that and honor that passes, but then another wave comes. So it's just knowing that that's a natural part of the process. And also knowing that any loved ones that we've lost, we are actually so much more connected to them after they've passed on, because their energy is able to be so much more present for us. And so it's just about reaching out to that energy, opening ourselves up to feeling that and experiencing that, asking them for signs that they're with us. They're always wanting to give us comfort and give us love. They become in a lot of ways like our guardian angels a lot of the time. And so if anyone out there is resonating with this, you have another guardian angel, and you can absolutely reach out to them, and they want you to know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling, and it's okay to miss them, but you don't have to miss them, because they're still there. You never lost them. They never left, and you carry them with you all the time. And I want people to know, I feel very strongly that as we move into this fifth dimensional consciousness, it's going to be so much easier to connect with those that we perceive as having lost, those who have passed over, because we're going to be so much more connected to everything. Our intuitive, our third eye, our psychic senses are going to be so developed that, we're going to be able to reach out to them so much more easily. And so the veil is becoming thinner and thinner, but you can reach out to them anytime, and they want you to know that you are so loved and they're so proud of you. So that's what I got for that. And then we have surrender to the divine, full moon. The full moon card on the full moon, baby. And so that's just pretty fucking simple. Just what it says, surrender to the divine, trust, have faith, know that this is all a process and everything is divinely guided, and everything is happening for a reason. Everything was orchestrated for a reason, even if you couldn't see what that reason was. Sometimes we're not meant to know. But, if we knew, it would change the chain of events. We wouldn't have the same experience, and we wouldn't gain the same wisdom if we understood everything from the jump. So sometimes we're just not supposed to. And that's okay. And sometimes part of the lesson is surrendering to that not knowing. Because that's what trust and faith really is, right? It's like when we don't know, if we have all the answers, we don't have to trust. We don't have to have faith, because it's all spelled right out for us. But that's part of developing that faith and that trust, is just believing that we're supported even when we can't see it, and even when we may not be able to feel it. And just surrendering to what's ever happening. Don't resist. This has come up so often. It's as we're letting go, as we're going through this process of healing, as we're releasing, right? We are, we feel some resistance sometimes. We want to hold on to those old parts of ourselves, those old belief systems, those old ideas, this old definition of ourselves, because it's what's familiar, it's what's comfortable, it's what we know. And so this is all about surrendering and allowing those things to fall away, allowing all which is not you to fall away, so that you can stand and resonate in the truth of who you are. And we have these ideas of ourselves, right? And we get really attached to some of them. But that's not, we're always fluid, we're always evolving, we're always changing. And embracing those changes doesn't mean that we're disowning ourselves, or we're being unfaithful to ourselves or to other people who want us to stay the same. It just means that we're embracing and we're allowing, and we're, the only thing that's constant is change. It's the only guarantee we have in life is that things are going to change. The earth goes through seasons. The moon goes through phases. Everything is constantly evolving and growing. If something's not evolving and growing, that means it's dead. And you, if you're watching this video right now, are very much alive. So just sink into this process of evolving and growing, and just know you're doing it right. There's no right or wrong, but you are doing it. So let's put it that way, because I hate terminology like right and wrong. You're doing things perfectly if you are being authentic to yourself during this process. And sometimes it's a lesson in learning how to be authentic to ourselves, because we don't really know. How can I be authentic to myself when I don't really know who I am? So it's just about honoring our own wisdom, honoring our emotion, honoring just this whole process that we're going through. And just just letting go and letting God, you know, allowing the universe to step in and do its job. You know, this came up in another video recently where we were talking about how, like, we're praying and we're asking for support, but then we're not willing to do anything to facilitate. We're asking for something, but then when we get it, we aren't ready for it, or we don't want it. And so it's just, I don't know, that got taken from me, so I guess we're not supposed to get into that right now. But yeah, just fucking surrender. Surrender. Let it go. Give it up. Allow things to be what they're going to be. The divine's got your back, and it's telling you that you don't need to worry. You don't need to stress. Just trust and allow. And then we have the energy is gaining momentum. And so I'm feeling from this just, I mean, the energy of the ascension is gaining momentum, right? Like everything that we've been growing into is gaining momentum. Like we're becoming aware of our purpose and our passion. And so all of that energy is building up, you know, like, you know, this full moon is a time of releasing, but it's like everything right now, like there's so much dynamic energy that it's always building. There is so much that is going to be happening, you know, just like buckle your seatbelt really, because it's going to be a wild ride from here on out. And it's just allowing, like flowing with that and allowing that to happen. And just, you know, knowing if there's something that you've been putting your energy into, or something that's really been on your mind that you've been trying to manifest, that's the message that I'm getting right now from this too, is that energy is gaining momentum. And there's nothing more that you need to do except surrender to the divine. Surrender and let spirit handle it. Don't get in the way. That's what was coming through before, is just don't get in the way of your own manifestations. You know, the energy is like, we may not always see, but behind the scenes, as soon as we put a request into the universe starts arranging things to make that happen if it is for our highest good. And so, like, that's happening right now for you. Whoever this message is for, that is happening. That energy is gaining momentum, and, you know, just allow it. Just allow it to do that. And then we have, it's time to release negativity, full moon in Scorpio. And so, yeah, I mean, that's it. Release negativity, embrace, step into yourself, step into this new being that you are becoming, and release all that no longer serves you. This is also when we're talking about this manifestation piece, right? This energy that's gaining momentum. Like, we don't want to block that by holding on to things that don't need to be held on to. We don't want to block that by having negative self-talk either. That's a big message that I'm getting with this, is the negative self-talk. Your words have power, your thoughts have power. And so when you speak something, that's like a spell, right? And so you want to be really, really careful with that, what you're speaking, because you're speaking it into being. And so, yeah, and the same thing with your thoughts. Be careful. Like, if you're trying to create something, you're trying to manifest something for yourself, don't allow your thoughts to contradict that. Just get rid of all those contradictory thoughts. Get rid of this idea that it may not happen. You know, like, really allow yourself to believe that it is possible. Allow yourself to believe that anything is possible, because, as Kayla and I like to say, all possibilities are possible. Yep. And we'll just throw that out there real quick. Take time to breathe out. That's it. Just breathe, baby. Just breathe. All right, so we're going to put those up here, and then we're going to we're going to do it. Let's get a goddess card. Clear. Any messages from the goddess deck from Spirit regarding this full moon on April 7th and 8th? Any messages? Any other messages regarding the full moon, April 7th, April 8th, 2020? Well, okay. Oh, wow. All right, we're not gonna get crazy with these. So we've got Shakti transformation. We're gonna take that one, definitely. because that's the process that we're going through, right? It's that process of transformation. It's what we've been talking about, right? And just allowing that process to unfold and just allowing ourselves to step into, you know, who we are becoming. And yeah, just embracing that new person. It can be scary sometimes because the ego likes to know things. The ego likes to have an idea of like, this is what it is. This is what I am. This is how things are. And when that gets shattered, it can be scary, but just breathing through that. And I mean, look at all of the light coming off of her crown chakra. You know, like the activations, the transformations that are happening, they're just absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm really feeling this card, honestly. It says 31, Mary, miracles. And so we're going to read from the book just a little bit of what that's about. And so I'm seeing Mother Mary here. And just believing in miracles and trusting that miracles can happen and they will happen, which goes right actually along with what we were just talking about. You know, just having the trust and the faith in that. Yeah, yep, it is Christian Goddess Mary, Mother of Miracles. Let's see. Ever since you were born, events and opportunities have come together to support you, guide you, show you love, and present the world as you see it. Look closely and see the hand of the divine working on your behalf. What were we just talking about? Yes, exactly. You are a powerful co-creator, and so you are responsible and accountable for the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that seed your field of dreams. I can't make this shit up. Remember, miracles are uncanny evidence that from the invisible world, life springs into form without any reasonable cause for the effect. Mary gave birth as the great goddess was shown to do long before the Christian myth of Mary became real. She too proved herself to be the very essence of creation itself. In this moment, Mary reminds you of those miracles that you too can call into being. You don't need a cause or any evidential fact or calculation to believe and then see that miracle rise up in the conditions of your life. When Mary appears, you are reminded that you will never run out of miracles. Okay? So it's this process of transformation, this believing in miracles, believe that absolutely anything can happen. If you can dream it up, it can be brought into creation, and it is in that process of being brought to fruition. And it's just trusting in that, man. Just trusting in that. Yeah. Yeah. Shakti coming to bring your heart's desire. I just had to take a peek just to see. I love these. I mean, there's so much good stuff in here. Yeah, wonderful change is afoot in your life when the Hindu goddess Shakti comes to support you. All your longing, desire, and focus on something better in your life, coupled with your willingness to do the work, has ignited the life force energy of the great goddess. She now brings to you your heart's desire. Know that now is the perfect time to move into the highest version of yourself. Are you ready for this change you wanted so badly? Everything depends on how honest and clear you have been and how willing you are now to explore other ways of being authentic in the world. You have the magical feminine divine energy of the creator goddess Shakti to help you when you become open to doing things differently. You are stepping into your destiny. Do so wisely and without guile, and you will be amazed at the way your world awakens with breathtaking beauty. So this is just what we were talking about, being true with ourselves, being honest with ourselves about our true desires, and knowing that those can be birthed into creation, and knowing that we were put here to be joyful, to live in that joy, to experience the full richness and bounty of what this life has to offer. And all of that is being offered to you right now. All you have to do is be willing to be open to receive and accept it. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap up this reading, guys. Thank you so much. I absolutely love every single one of you. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe if you haven't yet and you want to catch more videos. There's some really great videos that we've done recently about all of the changes that are going on right now. So definitely peruse through those. Let's see what else. Yeah, everything helps. You can donate to the channel if you feel so moved. The information for our PayPal is in the link below. If you're interested in an energy healing session, please reach out to me. I do Belvaspata. Belvaspata is angelic healing of the heart. It works with different rays and frequencies of light and emotion and different beings and you know, the angelic realms. And it's incredibly healing energy. It's just so many profound shifts can be experienced. You know, I've seen people's lives completely change. My life has completely changed since I was initiated into Belvaspata, and I've just seen the incredible transformations in people's lives receiving this healing energy. I can send it to you anywhere that you are in the world. Energy is not confined by space and time. For a limited time right now, due to this whole corona epidemic, I'm doing sessions for 4444. My information is down below. I also do spiritual coaching sessions. You know, we can do card readings. We can look at your astrology. We can, you know, just tap into so many different facets to get you the guidance and the inspiration that you're looking for, that you need at this time. It's this ascension. It's just, it can be a crazy ride. And, you know, Kayla and I are both here to help people through it. It's what we love to do. It's what we're passionate about. Definitely reach out to Kayla. Her information's down below as well. If you would like a tarot reading, she gives incredible readings. She's a woman of many talents. We both do so many more things than we can even, you know, put into words. So it's just, you know, reach out to us if you're feeling drawn to, and, you know, tell us what you need, and we'll figure out the best way to help you get that. And so, yeah, love you all very, very much. Enjoy this full moon and just take care of yourselves. We're integrating a lot of energies right now. So just be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself. And yeah, it's a time for healing right now. So allow that healing to take place. And until we meet again, have a good night.